hope you'll start with the low-hanging fruit. There's a lot. When we sent out stimulus checks to save our economy, $1.6 billion went to dead people. And the checks were cashed, obviously fraud. OMB has estimated that in fiscal year 2023, we sent out $1.3 billion of checks to dead people, which were cashed, obviously fraud. When you die in America, your name is sent to the Social Security Administration. As you know, you become part of the master death file. Senator Carper and I discovered that Social Security would not share that information with any other department of government. So we passed a bill saying you have to share it with Treasury and other people who write checks, so we'll stop paying dead people. Duh. We got pushback, believe it or not, on the bill. We had to agree to a trial period, and that trial period ends in 2026. Will you help us make that program permanent so we can stop paying dead people?
Yes, wait, hold up. The U.S. government sent $1.60 billion in stimulus checks to dead people? Yep, you heard that right. And what's worse, those checks were cashed. That's taxpayer money, your money, going straight into the pockets of fraudsters. Today, I'm breaking down Senator John Kennedy's fiery questioning of OMB nominee Russell Vought about this shocking scandal. And trust me, this is just the tip of the iceberg. If you think government waste is out of control, wait until you hear what else is happening. But first, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on more deep dives like this. Let's start with the big question. How did this even happen? During COVID, the government rushed to send out stimulus checks to help struggling Americans. But in their rush, they forgot one important step, making sure the recipients were actually alive.
Yes,
Senator Kennedy pointed out that the social...
Now, you've served in Washington for years. You're going to be challenging the status quo. You're going to be called crazy. Many people also called Noah crazy. And then the rains came. And all the fact checkers died. You have to persevere. Now, I'm not asking you to get ahead of President Trump. But if you were king for a day, tell me how you would save money in the federal budget without impacting the American people.
Thank you, Senator. I think it's the strategy that we had in the first term, which is to go really and take a very close look at the agencies that are spending and wasting money, and I believe weaponized at times against the American people. When they put a 77-year-old Navy veteran in jail, Joe Robertson, for 18 months for building 4 ponds on his ranch to be prepared for wildfires, that's the EPA. I think we have to look at that, and we have to look at the agencies that Congress has a vote on every single year through the appropriations process. And then I think we need to go after the mandatory programs that Senator Cornyn mentioned that are keeping people out of the workforce because they have become not just a social safety net, but they have become a benefit hammock, and increasingly so in the aftermath of COVID, as many of these policies were impacting people's decisions to go back into the workforce. And I believe, and because we produced budgets along these lines, you can get sizable levels of savings and reforms that can lead to a balanced budget and get us back headed in a fiscal trajectory, not only that we would all be proud of, but we could say, this is going to keep us from fiscal ruin.
My time's expired.
Actually alive.
Ella,
Senator
order.
Kennedy pointed out that the Social Security Administration keeps a master death file, literally a list of everyone who has passed away. So why weren't they using it? Well, believe it or not, some agencies weren't even allowed to access it. Seriously? The result? Massive fraud, wasted tax dollars, and zero accountability. If you thought $1.6 billion was bad, buckle up because this is still happening. In 2023 alone, the government sent another $1.3 billion in checks to the dead. And guess what? People are still cashing them. Now, Kennedy and other lawmakers tried to fix this by passing a bill that forces Social Security to share death records with other agencies. But guess what? They had to fight to even get a trial period for this common-sense solution. That trial ends in
I have read that since 2019, the population of America has increased 2%, and our spending has increased 55%. Under President Biden, I wish him well. If we had discovered life on Mars, he would have sent it money. Is that sustainable?
Senator, it's totally unsustainable, and the problem is that you go on these trajectories that we are currently on, and you don't know when you're going to get to the point of which you have some major problems as an economy and as a country, and we know that historically.
solution.
I
That
hope you'll
trial ends in
start-
2026, and if nothing is done, this fraud could continue for years. Unbelievable. So what's the plan to stop this? Russell Vought, the man being grilled by Kennedy, says we need to take a hard look at government agencies and cut the ones that are wasting money. He also says some social programs have turned into a benefit hammock, keeping people from going back to work instead of acting as a safety net. That's a big debate, but one thing is clear: our government is hemorrhaging money, and no one seems to be accountable. If we don't start fixing these problems, this waste is just going to keep growing. If you're finding this video eye-opening, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We break down government scandals, financial disasters, and politics in a way no one else does. Stay informed. Here's the bottom line: while you are working hard, paying taxes, and budgeting every
Senator
penny,
Kennedy.
the government is literally...
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Vought, welcome.
Thank you, Senator.
In my judgment, I do not know a single person in Washington or outside Washington who knows more about the federal budget than you do. I used to read your suggestions during President Trump's first term, many of which Congress ignored. We shouldn't have. I am delighted that the president picked you.
The government is literally giving money away to dead people. Meanwhile, inflation is rising, debt is skyrocketing, and politicians keep demanding more of your money. So ask yourself, who's really benefiting from all this? Certainly not the average American. It's time to start demanding real accountability from our leaders before this turns into a full-blown financial disaster. So what do you think? Should the government be held more accountable for this level of waste? And how do we stop fraud like this from happening again? Drop a comment below. I want to hear from you. And hey, if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We're diving into the biggest political and financial stories that no one else is talking about. So make sure you're staying informed and helping spread the truth. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, stay smart, stay informed, and stay watching.